Good evening. Welcome to Menopause Theater. Throughout humanity, women have gone through menopause. But what causes menopause? Sure, changes in hormonal activity, but which hormones are to blame? And are there hormones that are more at fault than others? In 1985's The Hormone Club, a group of plucky hormones pay the price for causing menopause. But with a little help from Moyra Gorski, a wellness expert who helps women find the life they want, they realized the truth about their role in menopause. Fun fact about Moyra, she started her career as a registered nurse. And now, the Hormone Club.
Dear Miss Vernon, we accept the fact that we had to sacrifice a whole Saturday in detention for whatever it is we did wrong. We didn't have nothing to do with no menopause, and we think you're crazy to make us write an essay telling you why we are. You see us as you want to see us, in the simplest terms, the most convenient definitions. You see us as a cool girl, a valedictorian, a jock, a student body president, and a teacher's pet. That's the way we saw each other at 7 o'clock this morning. We were brainwashed into thinking a different way about menopause.
So you all know why you're here. Menopause, and one of you is responsible. You know it was estrogen. She's to blame. She's always to blame. I'm gonna get to the bottom of this menopause mishigas, but in the meantime, you'll have 8 hours of Saturday detention to think about the hot flashes and brain fog you've caused and feel bad about it. This isn't fair. I'm losing valuable campaigning time. It wasn't me. Of course it was estrogen. Look, guys, of course I was in on it. It's me. I'm estrogen. I'm the coolest, wildest girl at school. But I didn't do all of menopause. I couldn't have if I had that much control. You know that we would have moved this school to Arizona so we could party at ASU. I mean, come on, estrogen. If you just admit it and take the blame for menopause, we can all go home. Where would you rather be? Arizona, doing a frat guy and a beer bong. I thought I made that clear.
Estrogen is probably the hormone that we think of when we think of hormonal swings for women. Is that a fair way to think about it? Like estrogen is the dominant force causing all of the problems during perimenopause.
Yeah, not necessarily. I mean, some people have explained like estrogen versus progesterone. Like if you think about their sisters, like estrogen is the really super excited, like, woo, like the energetic, like outgoing sister. And so she makes herself known and she's popular and she's involved in a lot of things and she takes lots of risks and things like that. Again, progesterone and estrogen work really closely in conjunction with each other. Oftentimes I counsel women that are going through menopause and they're like, I'm so anxious. Like I had never had anxiety before, but I feel like I have more anxiety these days. As we start to go through changes and go to perimenopause, our hormones decrease. So think about it. That progesterone that keeps us calm, there's less of that. So we're more anxious because we have less of that level-headed sister, but also we have less of that happy-go-lucky, let's take a risk, let's go do fun stuff. We have less of that. So then we feel like, oh, I don't think I really want to do that. I don't want to go out. And estrogen is an important one. So it's okay that, that we pay attention to her.
See, you are responsible. You heard Moyra, progesterone. You're just as culpable as I am. Culpable? That's a big vocab word. I'm impressed. I'm not dumb. I just don't apply myself because I'm having way too much fun. Hey, you kids, keep it down in there. Speaking of dumb, testosterone, you've been slacking off lately too. We lost the big game to emotions high. I mean, they cry every time they lose the ball. I'm not dumb and I'm not slacking off. I've just been really tired lately, okay?
When we think about testosterone just for males, right? In females, it's responsible in helping us with our bone density, our muscle mass, sex drive. If we don't have enough of that testosterone, our moods can be a little bit wonky. Our energy levels can be wonky.
Are there any other things that that lack of testosterone can set up for you as far as future health problems?
You need to shift the way that you work out and move and stuff like that. But we need to shift what we're doing because of this change in hormones. Like we can get, the flabby arms and stuff like that. And it's like, wait a minute, I didn't really change anything, but this seems to be coming up, or I have a little bit more around the middle, or I'm not. But yeah, we need to pay attention to then what we do. We need to do more or just start doing strength training and weightlifting and things that is going to help to improve our muscle mass, improve our bone density. Because as we get older, sometimes we lose our balance. And so then we're going to fall. And if we have better bone strength, if we have better muscular strength, we can maybe prevent that fall. We're not going to break our hip. Because God forbid, that's what happens a lot of times. As we get older and the women, and they're shuffling along and they're not lifting their feet up and they shuffle and they fall and they break their hip and then that's it.
Right.
You know?
I've heard that it's such a catastrophic injury to have happened. It can lead to your very rapid decline of health and lead to premature death.
There are things that we can do today and we should be doing today. If you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, doing things today. And yes, sometimes at nauseum, you're like, I don't think this has any impact. But guess what? It's going to have an impact to how you age and how you stay strong. And I often talk in my business and with my clients about health span and lifespan. Or our lifespan is how long we live, right? And we die and our lifespan, of course, is over. But there's the health span of how long we live at a healthy state. And many times these days, that health span, that lifespan it's a pretty big gap.
And it's not just about staying alive as long as possible. It's about what does that life look like?
Can we be vibrant? Can we live, vibrant lives and energetic lives? And like you said, be part of a community and go and be, active in that. And it's hard to play catch up once you get there.
Okay, so I'm a little bit responsible, but it's not all my fault. I didn't cause menopause all by myself.
What about insulin? Why is she even here? I mean, if she's here, it must mean that she did something really bad.
Exactly. Why am I even here? It doesn't make any sense. Insulin having anything to do with menopause? Especially when we've already established that estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone are at fault.
Insulin is one that some people are like, really, that's a hormone? But insulin is a hormone, but is responsible for managing our blood sugar levels. Insulin goes to our cells and knocks on the door and says, hey, would you open it up? Because I've got some glucose for you. And as we age, we can sometimes develop these insulin sensitivities so that when insulin goes and knocks on the door of the cell is just not answering.
Yeah. We don't think of insulin until we're sick. When it's functioning properly, we just don't think about it. It's just this old reliable thing that we're like, oh, it's just getting energy to my cells and I don't have to think about it because everything's working properly.
When it's not good. And sometimes we can get brain fog and things like that when our insulin is off. Again, we can feel, it can get very dangerous. Again, if there's too much insulin, not enough insulin.
Oh my God. I didn't even know that I was capable of menopause. I feel awful and powerful, but mostly awful. I caused this. A good politician takes responsibility. Well, looks like the mystery's solved since you all confessed. I'll just go tell Mrs. Vernon and then I can go home while you all sit around and do the time for your crime.
Hold on, cortisol. You've been quiet this whole time.
Yeah, too quiet. You mean to tell me that somehow the biggest teacher's pet, the most anxious hormone and hormone high, the goodiest of two shoes, got lumped in with us badasses by accident? Yeah, you've never been in trouble a day in your life.
Why are you here?
Cortisol is that hormone that is released by the adrenal glands that, if there's too much of it, again, it can lead to extra belly fat and other things. We produce lots of cortisol when we're under stress. It causes us to not sleep well, to be more anxious.
Can some of the symptoms of menopause, like the hot flashes leading to poor sleep, can that also raise cortisol levels?
Sleep is so important and getting a good amount of sleep during perimenopause and menopause is so important. And not having that can cause stress to your system. Cortisol, again, can be a nasty one. And sometimes we don't think about, because again, sometimes women, as they get more anxious in life and maybe they're thinking about retirement or working professional or they lose their job or things like that, they're stressed and they're anxious. And so they go to the doctor and the doctor gives them some medication for anxiety. Well, okay, but like, are you looking at these other things that are causing the anxiety? So sometimes, again, we're going at it the wrong way. You have to pay attention to the cortisol levels, as well as, yes, you're shifting hormones.
Cortisol, she's a sneaky one, especially after a global pandemic, and we're all like just hyper stressed out all the time now. And you're not meant to just be like constantly stressed out from like age 10 to 90. Your body's just not meant to function that way.
No, not to be at that high level. There needs to be a balance and a fluctuation in so many things in our life. But again, it can be complicated and it can be frustrating. There are things that happen, and you're not crazy when you start to feel different as you get older and as you go through these different phases. You're not crazy. There are things that are shifting inside of you that cause you to feel different and act different.
Cortisol? You're the worst one of all. Stop stressing us out and bumming us out. So I've been doing some research, and it turns out that, well, yes, you are all responsible for menopause in your own way, but you're also not responsible for menopause because it's a natural result of getting older and something that most people who identify as women will experience in their lifetimes. What? You can all go home because there is nothing to punish you for. Estrogen and progesterone go back to being a foil for each other. Estrogen, go wild. And progesterone, make sure she doesn't get into too much trouble. And testosterone, we're gonna get you a little help. Get you feeling a little more peppy. You're gonna be out there scoring sports goals out on the board in no time. Cortisol, you can stand down. The threat has been removed. And insulin, already on it. I'll have a full report of this whole incident written up and on your desk by Monday. Please don't. Now, get out of here, all of you. So you wrongfully imprisoned us here because you didn't understand menopause. And then you blamed it all on us and then just ruined our Saturdays. Is that right? Is that about the size of it? Yes, that would appear to be the case, but if you don't tell your parents that I messed up, I'll let you use the good bathroom in the teacher's lounge until the end of the semester. Yeah, okay.
Dear Miss Vernon, we accept the fact that we had to sacrifice a whole Saturday in detention because you think we had something to do with menopause. No one thing causes menopause. It's an inevitable part of getting older. But if you start pointing fingers and singling us out, menopause is going to be a lot more uncomfortable. You see us as you want to see us, in the simplest terms, the most convenient definitions. You see us as a cool girl, a valedictorian, a jock, a student body president, and a teacher's pet. That's the way we saw each other at 7 o'clock this morning. But now we know the truth about hormones and menopause. We each did it, and none of us did it alone. And also, menopause is a natural process of the privilege of living, so we embrace the hormonal shifts. And now, maybe you do too.
Good night, everyone. Remember that you can listen to my full interview with Moyra Gorski by subscribing to my podcast on Substack, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify. Check out Moyra's website, moyragorski.com, or follow Moyra on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. Everything will be linked in the description below. She has a free resource, 8 Tips to Aging Well, that you can download. We'll see you next time.